Field log for transmission 005. At approximately 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the T.A.R. civilian hotline received a single report from a private dive crew conducting a search for a documented shipwreck off the eastern coast of Northbridge within the Atlantic sector. The reporting party stated that the crew had encountered what appeared to be a large granite head structure, partially embedded among submerged ruins on the ocean floor. Repository analysts attempted to acquire visual confirmation via the Northbridge Anomaly surveillance system. Due to depth, turbidity, and line-of-sight limitations, no live visual feed was obtainable. The dive crew subsequently transmitted recorded video footage of the site. Following review of the footage, T.A.R. authorized deployment of a limited response unit consisting of 2 Green Team members and 1 Blue Team specialist. Upon arrival, Blue Team conducted immediate interviews with the dive crew. No indications of cognitive manipulation were detected. Beta wave activity and auxiliary neurological patterns remained stable and consistent with baseline human function. No anomalous psychological influence was observed. Green Team performed a full environmental and material scan of the site. No anomalous readings were detected. There was no evidence of latent zero-point energy, matter destabilization, spatial distortion, or residual signatures consistent with anomaly emergence events. The structure itself exhibited no active properties. Material composition appeared consistent with naturally occurring granite. Weathering and sedimentation patterns suggest significant age. Based on available data, the responding unit concluded that while the structure is visually inconsistent with known regional geological formations, it does not meet repository criteria for anomaly classification. The site was deemed more appropriately suited for archaeological review. No containment, recovery, or further action was authorized. Field log for transmission 006. At approximately 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, an anomaly emergence event was reported within the Pinecrest Interior Hollows, located in the western sector of Northbridge. The event was flagged concurrently through a civilian emergency call and RAS system alerts. The reporting civilians stated that they had encountered a humanoid arboreal figure while running through the wooded area and had fled the site immediately following the encounter. Repository analysts initiated review via the Northbridge Anomaly surveillance system. Due to dense canopy coverage and terrain obstruction, visual confirmation was limited. During initial NAS review, analysts observed the source tree associated with the anomaly briefly maintaining an upright position despite the absence of visible root anchoring or ground contact. No structural collapse was recorded during this interval. All field teams were dispatched. Red Team was placed on standby pending escalation. Upon arrival, Blue Team made contact with the reporting civilian and additional bystanders. No signs of cognitive manipulation or psychological intrusion were detected. Neurological patterns remained within baseline perimeters. Blue Team assessment determined the primary effect experienced by civilians was acute stress consistent with sudden exposure to an unexpected environmental stimulus. Green Team initiated environmental scans to determine whether the anomalous entity remained active within the area. Initial readings confirmed the continued presence of the anomaly. However, Green Team reported difficulty isolating the entity due to its apparent integration with surrounding vegetation. The entity exhibited adaptive behavior consistent with active matter reconfiguration, allowing it to merge seamlessly with existing trees and flora. This behavior resulted in the entity remaining visually indistinguishable from the surrounding environment when stationary. Green Team identified a specific tree exhibiting anomalous structural variants consistent with the entity's presence. Multiple communication attempts were initiated. The entity demonstrated awareness of Green Team activity and responded with localized movement and bioorganic fluctuation. No coherent exchange was established. At Green Team's request, Blue Team applied communicative anchoring techniques to assess potential sentience, intent, and threat posture. Blue Team assessment indicated no hostile intent towards civilian or repository personnel. The entity exhibited behavioral patterns consistent with fear, disorientation, and environmental unfamiliarity. Blue Team further noted conceptual responses suggesting the entity did not recognize the surrounding environment as native to its point of origin. These impressions could not be fully translated or contextualized prior to resolution. Before further assessment could be conducted, the anomaly disengaged from the environment. The entity's structural variance collapsed inward, and no further anomalous readings were detected. No residual signatures remained, no containment was possible or necessary. No injuries were reported. Recovery is classified as 100%. Field log for transmission 007. At approximately 1845 Eastern Standard Time, RAS Systems registered an anomaly emergence event within the western sector of Northbridge, localized to Pinecrest Ridge. Repository personnel initiated immediate review via the Northbridge Anomaly Surveillance System. Visual feeds revealed a localized discontinuity within the sky, appearing as a brittle fracture, consistent with a high-impact breach through an otherwise stable medium. Within the fracture, analysts observed a dense rotating void mass exhibiting characteristics visually analogous to extreme gravitational phenomena. All field teams were placed on immediate dispatch readiness. During live NAS observation, the aperture collapsed inward and resolved without external interaction. Full deployment was aborted. In accordance with post-resolution verification protocol, a reduced response team unit consisting of Green Team and Blue Team personnel was dispatched to the site to assess residual effects and confirm environmental stability. Upon arrival, Green Team deployed Meridian instrumentation to conduct localized environmental and LEO readings. Scans identified a contained pocket of elevated radiation corresponding to the coordinates of the initial emergence event. No evidence of temporal distortion, atmospheric ozone erosion, or degradation of the planetary magnetic field was detected. Blue Team conducted a psionic and psychological sweep of the area. No active or residual psionic presence was detected. No civilians were present for interviews. Blue Team assessment concluded the site posed no psychological risk. Based on combined findings, Green Team determined the anomaly emergence event had resolved autonomously and presented no ongoing threat. Recovery was classified as 100%.